What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in a current situation where our starting center for the Chicago Bulls in Nikola Vucevic is an unrestricted free agent, which means there are two outcomes that can occur from Nikola Vucevic. I guess either A, first option, staying with the Chicago Bulls team, re-signing with this team, or two, whether it's a sign and trade or just leaving for, I guess, nothing, it could result in Nikola Vucevic just joining a different team, a different environment, a different scenery, whatever the case may be. And today, I want to talk about the teams that could potentially threaten the Chicago Bulls in taking away Nikola Vucevic from this Bulls team. Now, we don't really know, I guess, the reasonings behind some of these. Again, it's just a situation of, if there are teams out there that Nikola Vucevic can probably go to, these are the teams that will be mentioned. So, that's what this video is going to be about. Ultimately, I've said it before and I've said it again, I feel fairly optimistic that Vucevic will remain a Chicago Bull. I know that's not going to be to everybody's amazement or happiness, but Vucevic has stated in the past he wants to stay in Chicago. Chicago has stated in the past they want to keep Nikola Vucevic, and although the contract negotiations pretty much never really got going or wasn't really a topic of discussion, saying that these two are really discussing a contract, at the end of the day, I do feel like when it's all said and done, the Bulls will find a way to keep Nikola Vucevic. But if not, this is the teams that we should be worried about, according to the article from Pippen Ain't Easy. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below what are your thoughts of Nikola Vucevic. Do you see him staying here? Do you want him to be here? These topic of discussions. Now, let's get started with the first team that could potentially threaten to take away Nikola Vucevic, and that is the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, this is a topic of discussion for a variety of reasons. One, I think Portland will have enough money to sign Nikola Vucevic just straight up, essentially, I believe. Two, obviously, they have a good quality center in Jusuf Nurkic. However, Jusuf Nurkic is a guy that doesn't stay healthy, unfortunately, and is honestly, even if he was healthy, probably not the same level as Nikola Vucevic. I think Vucevic is a better player. And again, all of that topic of discussion, not to mention, we've been linked with Portland pretty much the entire offseason. Again, they have the third overall pick. The Bulls probably are looking at the third overall pick. We have a protected pick from them. You know, you could have the topic of discussions to remove that protection and we can use a different pick from them, you know, stuff like that over the next couple of seasons, whatever the case may be. And now it seems like Portland could be a threat to steal away Nikola Vucevic from us. So, yeah, there's a little bit of an interesting argument to talk about in relation to Portland, but from my understanding and what I've been seeing about Portland, they are looking for an elite small forward. And like it or not, Vucevic ain't an elite small forward. So I wouldn't necessarily put Vucevic as the top priority for the Portland Trail Blazers. However, I think the partnership between Damian Lillard and Vucevic works. Again, Vucevic, top 10 offensive center, without a shadow of a doubt, double-double master, played 82 games for the Bulls last season. Someone like that could be very valuable to the Portland Trail Blazers. You can have a dependable, reliable, and very good quality offensive offensive center next to your superstar caliber point guard in Damian Lillard. I think that could work. Would that make them a contending team? Personally, they would need more. They would need that elite small forward. I think they would need just another really good quality scorer next to those two guys. Very similar to what the Bulls have with Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan. We have two good quality scorers with a very strong big man, but we need that point guard to really seal everything together, I think, for us. I don't necessarily think Portland has the same problems as us, but if they could have another dynamic scorer on their team with Vucevic and with Damian Lillard, I think they could be a dangerous team. But I wouldn't put Vucevic as the top priority, and in all fairness, I think Vucevic will most likely re-sign with the Chicago Bulls over the Portland Trail Blazers, if I am being honest. But anything can happen. You know, Portland offers the right amount of money and the Bulls don't, then he might prioritize going to Portland. We'll wait and see. But yeah, I would say they're a threat. Are they the biggest threat out there? Personally, I don't think so. Let's move over into the next one, ladies and gentlemen, and this is a little bit of a controversial one. It's the Toronto Raptors. Now, the reasoning behind this is because there is growing concerns that Jakob Poeltl, who is the starting center for the Toronto Raptors, may be on his way out in free agency. And with that in mind, with Jakob Poeltl leaving in free agency, that leaves a starting center spot for the Toronto Raptors, and Nikola Vucevic is an unrestricted free agent that can potentially join that team. Toronto Raptors, interesting one. And look, let's talk about the other side of that coin. Jakob Poeltl is probably a player that the Bulls are interested in free agency. So look, if there's a conversation where you could do a sign and trade for both of them and swap them for each team, of course both players would have to be willing to do that. But at the end of the day, if that's a possibility, then, you know, who says no to that conversation, I would say. I think Jakob Poeltl fits a lot of what the Bulls need in terms of the center position, a rim protector, a solid pick and roll player, very agile on his feet. Yeah, not a terribly bad center whatsoever, and someone that many Bulls fans really rate. Vucevic, well, to be fair, I don't necessarily think Vucevic really fits the Toronto Raptors, but at the end of the day, Toronto do need more scoring on their team. I think their half-court offense is very lackluster. Vucevic can help in that department, so maybe it does make sense for both teams. I think that's a little bit too good to be true, to be honest. Jakob Poeltl may very well leave the Toronto Raptors and join any other team in the NBA. I would find it ridiculously lucky if he joins the Bulls and then Vucevic joins the Raptors. Again, I just think it's too good to be true. So I would say probably not going to happen, but you never know. I think Poeltl will probably stay with the Raptors, to be honest, but I don't know what the current situation is. I've heard the Raptors general manager towards the end of the season saying that everybody is going to be available. No one's, I guess, safe from being traded. No one's safe from staying on that team. Maybe Poeltl will be one of those guys that feels the brunt of that punishment that the general manager would give to the Toronto Raptors. So we'll have to wait and see, all in all. Moving into the last team that could potentially be a threat to take away Nikola Vucevic, and one that I genuinely am probably concerned about, the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic and them crew might potentially steal away Nikola Vucevic from us, and we may never see him in a Bulls uniform again. And the reason why I'm concerned about this is because I really think Dallas is that team that needs a big center. You know, they do tend to play a little bit small ball sometimes, and at the end of the day, I don't necessarily think they're a terrible team, even though they've really disappointed in the last season. But I think he could fit that system very well. Again, Vucevic is what, a 37% three-point shooter, shoots about 3 or 4 of them a game, and he could be a guy that you could play 5 out with. He could be a guy that could use in a pick and roll with Luka Doncic. He could also be a guy that, you know, can really dominate in his post game and add more dynamics to the Dallas Mavericks. I think Dallas would love a player like Nikola Vucevic. I don't know what their salary situation is. I don't know if they'll be able to pay Nikola Vucevic. I assume they would if they're in that list, but I am genuinely worried about the Dallas Mavericks, I'll be honest. I feel like with all of our players, even Zach LaVine at the time that he was a free agent, I was worried about Dallas, and I'm worried about Dallas with Nikola Vucevic as well, because Luka Doncic is a generational talent, and the Dallas Mavericks needs to find a way to build around Luka Doncic. You know, you don't get rid of a guy like that. He has to be the cornerstone of your team. You need to build teams around him that will be successful, and Dallas have not done terrifically well at doing that over the course of their seasons with Luka Doncic. So adding a guy that's potentially on the Dallas Mavericks team, you know, he's a 17 and 11 player on the Bulls. He could potentially be a 17 and 11 player on the Dallas Mavericks. And, you know, if they could keep Christian Wood as well, that's a little bit of a interesting dynamic with that team. You know, they can go bigger, they can go smaller, and they'll have to find obviously more areas to improve their defense, because that's probably their biggest weakness at this point in time. But I am genuinely scared of the Dallas Mavericks and, I guess, taking away Nikola Vucevic. Maybe in a sign and trade situation, but to be fair, I don't really know what Dallas has to offer that I would really want from them to get Nikola Vucevic to the Dallas Mavericks. So we'll have to wait and see about that conversation as well. But those are the 3 teams that this article suggests will be threats to take away Nikola Vucevic: the Portland Trail Blazers, the Toronto Raptors, and the Dallas Mavericks. And I'm genuinely scared about Dallas. I think it's very unlikely to see Poeltl leave for the Bulls and for Vucevic to go to Toronto. I can see maybe Poeltl leaving to go to a different team, and then Vucevic goes to Toronto. I could probably see that more likely. But again, I think in that case, I think Vucevic will still prioritize the Bulls, and I think Vucevic will prioritize the Bulls over Portland as well. So yeah, look, we'll have to wait and see. It really depends on what the Bulls are willing to offer, what Vucevic wants. Can they come to that friendly agreement, or is Vucevic going to ask for that pay rise? You know, that's a conversation point that has been talked about as well, that Vucevic playing 82 games may seek a pay rise. So I guess we'll have to wait and see all in all. But I'll end this video here. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you in the next Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.